The power of silence. What if one of the greatest forms of power you could develop is something you already possess? Not money, not physical strength, not influence, not intelligence. Silence. In a world where everyone is trying to be heard, the ability to remain silent has become rare. Everyone wants to respond. Everyone wants to explain themselves. Everyone wants to prove that they are right. Everyone wants the last word. But what if you stopped? What if, instead of reacting, you paused? What if, instead of explaining every decision, you simply kept moving? What if, instead of telling everyone your plans, you worked quietly until the results became impossible to ignore? Because silence is not always weakness. Sometimes silence is discipline. Sometimes silence is confidence. Sometimes silence is emotional control. Sometimes silence is protection. And sometimes silence is the most powerful answer you can give. Think about the last time someone said something that made you angry. Maybe someone insulted you. Maybe someone misunderstood you. Maybe someone criticized your dreams. Maybe someone tried to provoke you. Your first instinct was probably to respond, to defend yourself, to explain, to prove them wrong. But here's the question. What if you didn't? What if you simply looked at the situation, took a breath, and chose not to give it your energy? Imagine the power of being able to control your reaction when everyone expects you to lose control. Imagine being able to walk away from an argument without feeling like you lost. Imagine having the confidence to keep your plans private until they become reality. Imagine being comfortable enough with yourself that you don't need to constantly explain who you are. That is the power of silence. And throughout this journey, you are going to discover that silence is much more than simply not talking. Silence can help you master your emotions. It can protect your energy. It can reveal people's true character. It can sharpen your thinking. It can strengthen your confidence. It can protect your goals. And it can teach you something most people never learn. You don't have to react to everything that happens to you. There will be moments in your life when people will try to pull you into unnecessary arguments. There will be moments when your emotions will tell you to speak. There will be moments when your ego will demand that you prove yourself. And there will be moments when the smartest thing you can do is absolutely nothing. Pause. Observe. Think. Then decide. Because the strongest person isn't always the person who speaks the loudest. Sometimes, the strongest person is the one who remains calm when everyone else is losing control. So, as you listen to this message, don't just hear the words. Think about your own life. Think about the arguments you didn't need to have. The things you revealed that should have remained private. The people you tried too hard to impress. The moments when you reacted emotionally and later wished you had remained silent. And ask yourself, what could change in my life if I learned to control my silence? Stay with me until the end, because the final lesson may completely change the way you respond to people, pressure, criticism, and conflict. Today, you are going to learn how to become quieter without becoming weaker, calmer without becoming passive, and more powerful without needing to prove your power. Because sometimes, the less you say, the more people notice. Sometimes, the quieter you become, the clearer you think. And sometimes, your silence can say what words never could. Welcome to the power of silence. Master your mind. Transform your life. The power of silence. Chapter 1. Silence is a form of power. Imagine you are sitting in a room with 10 people. Someone insults you. Everyone looks at you. They expect you to respond. They expect anger. They expect an argument. But instead, you remain silent. You look at them calmly and say nothing. At first, they may think you are weak. They may think you have nothing to say. But something interesting begins to happen. The person who tried to provoke you becomes uncomfortable. Why? Because they cannot control your reaction. And that is where the power of silence begins. Most people believe power means speaking louder. They believe power means having the final word. They believe power means proving that they are right. But sometimes, the strongest person in the room is the one who does not need to speak. Silence is not always weakness. Sometimes silence is discipline. Sometimes silence is confidence. Sometimes silence is wisdom. And sometimes silence is the ultimate response. Think about how many mistakes people make because they speak too quickly. They reveal their plans too early. They tell people their weaknesses. They respond emotionally. They explain themselves to people who were never interested in understanding them. They argue with people who only wanted to provoke them. They speak because they are uncomfortable with silence. But a disciplined person learns something different. You don't have to respond to everything. You don't have to explain everything. You don't have to prove everything. And you don't have to win every argument. There is incredible strength in being able to sit with silence. Imagine a young man named Daniel. Daniel was ambitious. He wanted to build a successful business. Whenever he had a new idea, he told everyone. He told his friends. He told relatives. He told people at work. He talked about what he was going to build, how much money he would make, and how successful he would become. But months passed. Nothing happened. Then Daniel met an older businessman who had built several successful companies. Daniel told him about his newest idea. The businessman listened quietly. When Daniel finished speaking, the man asked only one question. "Have you started?" Daniel became quiet. "No," he answered. The businessman smiled and said, "Then stop talking about it." That sentence changed Daniel's life. He stopped announcing his plans. He stopped seeking approval. He stopped telling everyone what he was going to do. Instead, he worked quietly. Every morning. Every evening. Week after week. Month after month. Eventually, people began noticing results. The same people who once heard Daniel talk about his dreams were now seeing the evidence of his work. And Daniel learned one of the most important lessons of his life. Your results do not need an announcement. Let your actions introduce you. Let your discipline speak for you. Let your success make the noise. Because when you constantly talk about what you are going to do, you release some of the psychological satisfaction before you actually accomplish it. But when you remain silent, you preserve your energy. You preserve your focus. You preserve your mystery. And most importantly, you preserve your opportunity to work without unnecessary opinions surrounding you. Not everyone needs to know your next move. Not everyone deserves access to your plans. Not everyone needs an explanation. Sometimes you need to disappear from the noise so you can hear your own thoughts. And this is only the beginning. Because silence does something even more powerful than protecting your plans. It can completely change the way you think. And in the next chapter, you will discover why silence can become one of the greatest tools for mastering your mind. Chapter 2: Silence helps you master your mind. Your mind is constantly talking. Even when your mouth is closed, your mind may be running at full speed. What if I fail? What will they think? Should I respond? Why did they say that? What if something goes wrong? What should I do next? The modern world rarely gives your mind permission to become quiet. There is always something demanding your attention. Messages, notifications, videos, music, arguments, news, social media, other people's opinions. And eventually, you can become so surrounded by external noise that you forget what your own thoughts sound like. Silence creates space. And inside that space, you begin to observe yourself. You start noticing your emotions instead of immediately obeying them. You notice your anger. You notice your fear. You notice your insecurity. You notice your desires. And when you can observe something without immediately reacting to it, you gain power over it. Imagine someone sends you an insulting message. Your first instinct is to respond immediately. You type. You delete. You type again. Your heart begins beating faster. You want them to understand how wrong they are. But then you stop. You put the phone down. You wait. An hour passes. You read the message again. Suddenly, it doesn't feel as powerful. Why? Because emotion is temporary. But words can become permanent. A 5-second emotional reaction can create a 5-year problem. Silence gives emotion time to pass. This is why one of the greatest forms of self-control is learning to pause before responding. You don't need to answer immediately. You don't need to react immediately. You don't need to make decisions while angry. You don't need to send the message while emotional. Pause. Breathe. Think. Then decide. That small space between emotion and action can completely change your life. A powerful person is not someone who never feels anger. A powerful person is someone who feels anger but doesn't allow anger to control their behavior. Silence gives you that space. It gives you time to ask, is this worth my energy? Will responding improve the situation? Am I speaking because I have something valuable to say, or because my ego wants to be heard? Those questions can save you from countless mistakes. And once you learn to control your reactions, something extraordinary happens. People begin to realize they cannot easily manipulate you. They cannot push your buttons whenever they want. They cannot make you angry simply because they are angry. You become emotionally independent. You become calmer. You become harder to control. And that brings us to the next chapter. Because silence doesn't only help you control yourself. It also helps you understand other people. Chapter 3: Silence Reveals People. One of the most powerful things about silence is what happens when you stop filling every empty space with words. People begin revealing themselves. When you constantly talk, you may miss what others are saying. But when you become quiet, you start observing. You notice patterns. You notice contradictions. You notice body language. You notice who listens. You notice who interrupts. You notice who respects you. You notice who only contacts you when they need something. Silence turns you from a participant into an observer. Imagine entering a new environment. Instead of immediately trying to impress everyone, you listen. You watch. One person constantly talks about themselves. Another person talks badly about everyone. Another person barely speaks but pays attention to everything. Another person changes personality depending on who is in the room. You begin learning. You don't need to interrogate anyone. People reveal themselves naturally when you give them enough space. This is especially important when choosing friends, partners, business associates, and people you trust. Sometimes, the fastest way to understand someone is not to ask more questions. It's to stop talking and listen. Give them room. Let them explain themselves. Let them tell their stories. Let them reveal their priorities. Because people often tell you who they are. The problem is that we are sometimes too busy talking to listen. A wise person doesn't only listen to words. They listen to patterns. They observe actions. They compare promises with behavior. They pay attention to what happens when someone is angry, disappointed, successful, or challenged. Silence gives you the opportunity to observe all of this. And once you become a better observer, you become harder to deceive. But there is another hidden advantage to silence. It can make your words more valuable. And that is what we will explore next. Chapter 4: When you speak less, your words can mean more. Imagine two people. The first person talks constantly. They give opinions about everything. They comment on every situation. They tell jokes constantly. They explain themselves constantly. Eventually, people become used to hearing them. Their words become background noise. Now imagine someone who rarely speaks. They listen. They observe. They think. And when they finally speak, everyone pays attention. Why? Because scarcity creates value. If you speak every second, your words can lose their impact. But if you speak intentionally, people begin listening carefully. This doesn't mean you should become antisocial. It doesn't mean you should stop communicating. It means you should stop wasting words. Speak when your words have purpose. Speak when your words can help. Speak when silence would cause harm. Speak when truth needs to be defended. But don't speak simply because you are uncomfortable with silence. Before you speak, ask yourself, does this need to be said? Is this the right time? Am I helping or simply reacting? Will I regret saying this later? These questions can transform communication. Your goal is not to become someone who says nothing. Your goal is to become someone whose words have weight. Because the power of silence is not that you never speak. The power is that you control when you do. And that control becomes especially powerful when people try to provoke you. Chapter 5. Silence can protect you from provocation. Some people don't want an honest conversation. They want a reaction. They know exactly what to say to make you angry. They criticize you. They insult you. They question your intelligence. They bring up your failures. They attack your character. And then they wait. They want you to explode. Because once you lose emotional control, they have gained control of the situation. This is why silence can be a shield. Not every attack deserves a response. Not every accusation deserves an explanation. Not every person deserves access to your emotions. Imagine someone says, "You will never succeed." You could spend 30 minutes trying to convince them that they are wrong. Or you could smile and continue working. Years later, your results may answer the question for you. This is one of the most beautiful forms of silence. Letting your life respond for you. You don't have to convince everyone that you are capable. You don't have to prove yourself to every critic. You don't have to argue with every person who misunderstands you. Keep moving. Keep learning. Keep improving. Keep building. There is a time to defend yourself. There is a time to speak against injustice. There is a time to establish boundaries. But there is also a time to walk away. Wisdom is knowing the difference. And once you master that difference, you will discover another benefit of silence. It protects your energy. Chapter 6. Silence protects your energy. Your attention is one of your most valuable resources. Every argument consumes attention. Every unnecessary conversation consumes attention. Every piece of gossip consumes attention. Every pointless debate consumes attention. And attention is energy. If you spend your entire day reacting to other people, you may have nothing left for your own goals. Think about a person trying to build a better life. They wake up with goals. But before they begin, they check social media. They see an argument. They join it. Then they see another opinion. They respond. Someone sends them an angry message. They spend an hour arguing. By evening, they are exhausted. But they haven't moved their own life forward. Silence can break that cycle. You begin asking, "Does this deserve my attention?" If the answer is no, you let it go. You don't have to attend every argument you are invited to. You don't have to respond to every notification. You don't have to know everyone's opinion. You don't have to explain your life to everyone. Protect your mental space. Protect your focus. Protect your peace. Because the more carefully you protect your energy, the more energy you have available for the things that actually matter. And this leads to a deeper lesson. Sometimes silence isn't about other people at all. Sometimes silence is about finally meeting yourself. Chapter 7. Silence helps you hear yourself. When was the last time you sat alone without your phone? No music. No video. No conversation. No notifications. Just you. For many people, that experience is uncomfortable. Because when the external noise disappears, internal noise becomes louder. You start thinking about your life, your choices, your regrets, your dreams, your fears, your future. And this is exactly why many people avoid silence. They don't fear silence. They fear what silence might reveal. But growth requires honesty. Sometimes you need to sit quietly and ask yourself, am I living the life I actually want? Why am I doing what I'm doing? What am I avoiding? What needs to change? Who am I becoming? These questions are powerful, and you won't always find the answers immediately. But silence gives you the space to search. Many great ideas are born in quiet moments. Many important decisions are made after reflection. Many people discover their purpose when they finally stop listening to everyone else. You don't need another person's opinion every time you make a decision. Learn to think. Learn to reflect. Learn to trust yourself. Because if you are constantly asking everyone else what you should do, you may eventually lose the ability to hear your own judgment. Silence strengthens that ability. And when you become comfortable with yourself, you no longer need constant external validation. That brings us to one of the most powerful forms of silence of all: knowing when to walk away. Chapter 8. Silence knows when to walk away. There are situations where the most powerful response is not an argument. It is departure. You don't need to stay in every environment. You don't need to convince everyone to understand you. You don't need to fight for acceptance from people who have already decided to misunderstand you. Sometimes your silence says, "I refuse to participate. I refuse to become like you. I refuse to destroy my peace. I am moving forward." Walking away doesn't always mean you are defeated. Sometimes it means you finally understand your value. Imagine someone repeatedly disrespects you. You explain. They continue. You explain again. They continue. At some point, more words will not create more understanding. Your next step may need to be action. Distance. Boundaries. Silence. You don't always need the final conversation. You don't always need closure from another person. Sometimes closure comes from deciding that you are finished. Your peace is valuable. Don't trade it for the satisfaction of winning an argument. Because there is something even more important than proving someone wrong: building yourself into someone who no longer needs their approval. And that takes us to Chapter 9. Because once you become comfortable with silence, you can use it to build something most people desperately want: inner confidence. Chapter 9. Silence builds inner confidence. A person who is comfortable with silence doesn't need constant validation. They can walk into a room without demanding attention. They can make a decision without announcing it. They can work without applause. They can fail without making excuses. They can succeed without bragging. Why? Because their confidence comes from within. External validation is addictive. You post something and wait for likes. You accomplish something and wait for praise. You make a decision and wait for approval. But imagine living differently. Imagine knowing who you are even when nobody is watching. Imagine working hard even when nobody applauds. Imagine improving yourself even when nobody notices. That is inner strength. And silence helps build it. There is a particular kind of confidence that develops when you stop explaining yourself. You realize, I know what I am doing. I know why I am doing it. I don't need everyone to understand. That doesn't mean you ignore constructive criticism. It means you stop allowing random opinions to determine your identity. You become grounded. You become patient. You become deliberate. And eventually your silence becomes different. It is no longer silence because you are afraid to speak. It is silence because you have learned that not everything deserves your voice. That is maturity. And now we arrive at the final chapter. Because the ultimate power of silence is not simply knowing when to remain quiet. It is knowing when silence should become action. Chapter 10. Master the power of silence. Silence is powerful. But silence alone will not change your life. You must use it intentionally. Be silent when anger wants you to react. Be silent when gossip wants your participation. Be silent when people demand unnecessary explanations. Be silent when your plans need protection. Be silent when you need time to think. Be silent when you are learning about someone. Be silent when your emotions are controlling your judgment. But speak when your values require it. Speak when someone needs encouragement. Speak when truth needs to be defended. Speak when boundaries need to be established. Speak when love needs to be expressed. Speak when your knowledge can help someone. The goal is not to become silent all the time. The goal is to become intentional. There is a difference between silence caused by fear and silence caused by wisdom. Fear says, "Don't speak because you are scared." Wisdom says, "Don't speak because this moment doesn't deserve your energy." Fear hides. Wisdom observes. Fear avoids. Wisdom chooses. Fear is controlled by circumstances. Wisdom controls its response to circumstances. So from today, practice the pause. Before responding, pause. Before arguing, pause. Before revealing your plans, pause. Before making an emotional decision, pause. Before explaining yourself, pause. Ask, is my response necessary? Is this worth my energy? Will speaking improve this situation? If I remain silent, what can I learn? You may discover that silence gives you something the world cannot give you: clarity, peace, focus, self-control, and strength. Remember this. You don't need to have the loudest voice to have the greatest impact. You don't need to win every argument to win in life. You don't need to announce every move. You don't need to prove your worth. Sometimes, you simply need to become quiet enough to hear yourself. Quiet enough to think. Quiet enough to observe. Quiet enough to plan. Quiet enough to grow. And then, when the time is right, let your actions speak. Let your discipline speak. Let your character speak. Let your results speak. Let the person you become speak louder than. Let the person you become speak louder than anything you could ever say. Because the world is full of noise. People are constantly talking, constantly reacting, constantly explaining, constantly seeking attention. But the person who can remain calm in the middle of the noise possesses something rare: control. And perhaps that is the real power of silence. Not that you have nothing to say, but that you have developed enough wisdom to know when saying nothing is more powerful. So protect your silence. Use it to think. Use it to grow. Use it to observe. Use it to control your emotions. Use it to protect your energy. And when you finally speak, make your words count. Master your silence. Master your mind. And you will begin to master your life. If this message spoke to you, don't stop here. Take what you learned today and apply it. The next lesson may change the way you see yourself, your relationships, your money, and your future. Master your mind. Transform your life. What if the reason you are struggling with money has less to do with how much you earn, and more to do with what you believe about money? Think about that for a moment. Millions of people work hard every single day. They wake up early, spend hours at work, sacrifice their time, and constantly look for ways to earn more. Yet, despite all that effort, they remain trapped in the same cycle: earn money, spend money, run out of money, and repeat. But there is something most people were never taught. Money is not just about earning. Money is about understanding. If you don't understand how money works, earning more money alone may not change your life. You can receive a bigger salary and still remain broke. You can make more than you made 5 years ago and still feel financially trapped. Why? Because wealth is not created simply by how much money comes into your hands. Wealth is created by what you do with the money that comes into your hands. And this is where your journey begins. In this video, we're going to look beyond the surface of money. We're going to explore the mindset, habits, decisions, discipline, and principles that separate people who constantly struggle financially from those who gradually build wealth. You will discover why some people earn money but never keep it. Why some people make more but somehow have less. Why others start with almost nothing but slowly build financial freedom. And most importantly, you will begin to understand that building wealth is not something reserved for the lucky, the privileged, or the extremely intelligent. It begins with learning. It begins with changing the way you think. It begins with taking control. Imagine waking up one morning and no longer feeling controlled by your bills. Imagine having money saved for emergencies. Imagine being able to make decisions based on opportunity rather than desperation. Imagine your money working for your future instead of disappearing the moment you receive it. That is what we're going to explore. But understand this from the beginning. Getting wealthy is not a quick process. There is no magic formula that will make you rich overnight. There is no shortcut that replaces discipline. And there is no investment that can guarantee you instant wealth without risk. Real wealth is built slowly. It is built through knowledge, through patience, through consistent decisions, through learning how to control your spending, through increasing your ability to earn, through saving and investing wisely, and through developing the discipline to delay temporary pleasure for long-term freedom. Think about a seed. When you plant a seed, you don't dig it up every morning to check whether it has grown. You water it. You protect it. You give it time. And eventually, something that was once invisible beneath the soil begins to break through the surface. Wealth works the same way. At first, your progress may be almost impossible to see. You save your first small amount. You learn a new skill. You eliminate an unnecessary expense. You start investing. You increase your income. You make better financial decisions. Nothing dramatic may happen immediately, but every good decision becomes another seed planted in your financial future. And eventually, those small decisions begin to compound. Your money grows. Your knowledge grows. Your opportunities grow. And eventually, your financial life begins to look completely different. So don't underestimate small beginnings. The goal is not to become rich tomorrow. The goal is to become financially smarter today. Because when your knowledge changes, your decisions change. When your decisions change, your habits change. When your habits change, your financial results begin to change. And when you consistently make better financial decisions over many years, your life can change dramatically. So wherever you are right now, whether you're struggling financially, starting from zero, earning a small income, or already making good money, don't allow your current situation to convince you that your future is already decided. Your financial story is still being written. And today, you can begin writing a different chapter. Welcome to your journey toward understanding money, building wealth, and creating financial freedom. Let's begin. Build wealth faster. What if the reason you are not wealthy yet has almost nothing to do with how hard you work? What if you could work harder and harder for the next 10 years, and still remain financially stuck? And what if the people who build wealth faster aren't necessarily smarter than you, luckier than you, or more talented than you? They simply understand something most people never learn. They understand how money actually grows. Think about this. Two people can earn the exact same income. They can live in the same city. They can have the same number of hours in a day. They can even start with almost nothing. Yet 10 years later, one is financially free while the other is still asking, "Where did all my money go?" The difference isn't always income. It's what they do with the income. It's what they learn. It's what they build. It's what they refuse to waste. And most importantly, it's how quickly they turn their time, skills, money, and decisions into assets that continue working for them. Today, we're going to break down exactly how to build wealth faster. But I want you to stay until the very end because we're not starting with investing. We're not starting with stocks. We're not starting with cryptocurrency. We're not even starting with saving money. We're starting somewhere much deeper. Because before you can build wealth with money, you must build the person capable of creating, keeping, and multiplying it. And in Chapter 1, you're going to discover the first wealth accelerator, the one that determines whether everything else in this video will work for you. Introduction: the race you don't realize you're in. Imagine two young people named Daniel and Michael. Both are 22 years old. Both earn modest incomes. Both want the same thing: a better life. Daniel believes wealth comes from earning more money. So whenever he gets a raise, he upgrades his lifestyle. New phone, better clothes, more expensive restaurants, more entertainment. Eventually, his income increases again, and his lifestyle increases with it. Michael takes a different approach. Whenever his income increases, he asks himself one question: how much of this increase can I use to make my future income larger? Instead of spending everything, he invests in education. He learns a valuable skill. He starts a small side business. He builds relationships. He saves part of his income. He invests what he can afford to invest. At first, Daniel looks richer. He has the nicer phone, the better clothes, the more expensive lifestyle. Michael doesn't look impressive. But something invisible is happening. Michael is building assets. Daniel is building expenses. 5 years pass. Daniel is still earning money. But every month he needs money. Michael is earning money from his work. But he has also created other things that can produce value. And this is where the game changes. Because wealth isn't simply about how much money enters your life. Wealth is about how much value you can create, keep, and multiply. And once you understand that, you stop asking, "How can I make money quickly?" You start asking, "How can I become more valuable?" That question leads us directly into Chapter 1. Because the fastest way to build wealth begins with something you carry everywhere you go: your mind. Chapter 1. Become more valuable. There is a principle that can change the way you look at money forever. Your income tends to follow the value you can create. If you want to build wealth faster, don't only ask, "How can I earn more?" Ask, "What valuable problem can I solve?" Let me tell you a story. A young man named David worked for a small company. For years, he complained that his salary was too low. Every morning he arrived at work frustrated. He believed his employer was the problem. Then one day, someone asked him, "What skill would make you so valuable that your company couldn't ignore you?" That question changed his life. David began studying. He learned sales, then marketing, then data analysis. Then he learned how to use modern software tools. He wasn't waiting for his company to magically increase his salary. He was increasing his own value. Eventually, another company offered him a much better position. Not because David begged for more money, but because he had become capable of producing more value. That's the secret. Don't chase money first. Chase value. If you can solve problems that people are willing to pay to have solved, you have created an engine for income. Learn communication. Learn sales. Learn technology. Learn writing. Learn leadership. Learn marketing. Learn investing. Learn negotiation. Learn a technical skill. Learn how businesses work. The more valuable problems you can solve, the more opportunities you create. But here's where things become interesting. You can become extremely valuable and still remain financially stuck. Why? Because earning more money is only half the battle. The other half is keeping it. And that's exactly what we're going to uncover in Chapter 2. Because if you don't control your spending, every increase in income can disappear as quickly as it arrives. Chapter 2. Stop letting your lifestyle eat your future. Imagine receiving an extra $500 every month. Most people immediately think, "What can I buy?" Wealth builders think, "What can this $500 become?" There's a massive psychological difference between those two questions. One focuses on consumption. The other focuses on multiplication. Consider James. James gets a promotion and starts earning significantly more. Instead of keeping his old lifestyle while investing the difference, he upgrades everything. More expensive apartment. More expensive car. More expensive clothes. More expensive vacations. His income rises, but his financial freedom doesn't. Why? Because his expenses rose at almost the same speed. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it quietly destroys wealth. The problem isn't enjoying your money. The problem is allowing every increase in income to become a permanent increase in expenses. Imagine your income as water flowing into a bucket. If the bucket has huge holes, pouring more water into it won't solve the problem. You need to close the holes. That means understanding where your money goes. You don't need to live miserably. You don't need to hate spending. You simply need to make sure that your spending doesn't destroy your future. Create a gap between what you earn and what you spend. Then use that gap strategically. Because that gap is where wealth begins. But now comes the question. What should you do with the money you successfully keep? Saving alone isn't enough. And that's why Chapter 3 may be one of the most important chapters in this entire video. Because your money needs somewhere to go. Chapter 3. Make your money work. Imagine you have two workers. Worker A works 8 hours every day. Worker B works 8 hours every day. But also has thousands of tiny workers working for him. Which person has the greater potential? The second person. Your money can become those workers. When you invest responsibly in productive assets, your money has the potential to generate returns. And then those returns can generate additional returns. This is the power of compounding. Imagine planting a tree. At first, it looks insignificant. You water it. You protect it. You wait. Nothing dramatic happens. Then years later, the tree becomes large enough to provide shade, fruit, and seeds. Money can work similarly. The beginning often feels slow. That is why many people quit. They expect their first investments to transform their lives overnight. But wealth often grows quietly before it becomes visible. The key is consistency. Depending on your circumstances, investing might involve diversified funds, retirement accounts, businesses, or other productive assets. The exact choice depends on your goals, risk tolerance, country, taxes, and financial situation. But the principle remains. Don't let every dollar you earn depend entirely on your future labor. Build assets. Because eventually, you want your money to start helping you produce more money. But there is a problem. You can invest and still build wealth painfully slowly. Why? Because your investment capital may be too small. So how do you accelerate the process? You increase the amount of capital you can deploy. And that takes us to Chapter 4. Chapter 4. Create more than one income engine. There was once a man who worked at the same job for 20 years. Every month, his employer paid him. Every month, he paid his bills. Every year, he hoped for a raise. His entire financial life depended on one engine: his job. Then imagine another person. She has a job, but she also freelances. She sells a digital product. She invests. She builds a small business. Maybe none of these produces huge money individually, but together they create something powerful. Multiple income streams. Now understand this carefully. Multiple income streams do not mean trying 10 random side hustles at once. That's another trap. The goal is not to become busy. The goal is to become financially diversified and strategically productive. Start with one additional engine. Build it. Improve it. Systemize it. Then consider another. A person who earns $1,000 from one source has one engine. A person who earns $1,000 from 3 sources has 3 engines. But there's something even more powerful than simply creating multiple income streams. Creating income that isn't completely dependent on every hour you personally work. That leads us to Chapter 5. And this is where many ambitious people make a critical mistake. Chapter 5. Stop selling only your time. When you're young, you often exchange time for money. You work 1 hour. You get paid for that hour. That's normal. But there is a ceiling. You only have 24 hours in a day. You cannot sell the same hour twice. So eventually, you need leverage. Leverage means using something beyond your personal time to multiply your output. A business can provide leverage. Technology can provide leverage. Content can provide leverage. Capital can provide leverage. A team can provide leverage. Knowledge can provide leverage. Think about a teacher. One teacher can teach 30 students in a classroom. But if that teacher creates an online course, thousands of people could potentially learn from it. The teacher's knowledge has been transformed into an asset. That's leverage. Think about a content creator. One video can take hours to produce. But after publication, that same video can potentially reach thousands or millions of people without the creator personally speaking to every viewer. That's leverage. The question becomes, how can I create something once that continues producing value? This is one of the biggest shifts from simply earning an income to building wealth. But there's another accelerator. Because even with valuable skills and leverage, you can still destroy your progress with one bad habit. That habit is debt. And Chapter 6 explains how to make debt work for you, or work against you. Chapter 6. Control debt before debt controls you. Debt is not automatically good or bad. The question is, what is the debt doing for you? Imagine two people borrow money. Person A borrows money to buy something that loses value and creates monthly expenses. Person B borrows responsibly to acquire or expand something that can produce income or long-term value. They both have debt. But the economic purpose is completely different. This is why wealthy thinking requires you to stop looking at money emotionally. Before borrowing, ask, what will this debt cost me? What will it produce? Can I comfortably repay it? What happens if my income falls? Is this helping me build an asset, or simply helping me consume something I cannot currently afford? A person can earn a high income and still be financially fragile. Another person can earn less but have strong savings, manageable debt, and growing assets. The goal isn't to look wealthy. The goal is to become financially resilient. And that brings us to Chapter 7. Because even if you earn more, spend less, invest wisely, and control debt, there is still one invisible force that can destroy everything: your emotions. Chapter 7. Master your emotions around money. Money is mathematical, but humans are emotional. And that's why people make terrible financial decisions. Fear makes people sell at the worst possible moment. Greed makes people chase things they don't understand. Envy makes people spend money trying to look successful. Impatience makes people search for overnight wealth. And desperation makes people vulnerable to scams and unrealistic promises. Let me tell you about Marcus. Marcus sees someone online claiming they made thousands in a week. Suddenly, his normal financial plan feels boring. He wants the same result. So he puts money into something he doesn't understand. At first, the numbers rise. He's excited. Then the market turns. Fear takes over. He panics. He loses money. The problem wasn't simply the investment. The problem was that Marcus allowed emotion to replace strategy. Building wealth requires patience. You need the ability to say, "I don't need to become rich this month." That sentence is powerful. Because when you stop being desperate for fast money, you become harder to manipulate. You begin thinking long-term. You stop chasing every opportunity. You start evaluating risk. You become patient. And patience becomes a competitive advantage. But there is one more emotional battle: comparison. And Chapter 8 will show you why comparing your financial journey to someone else's can quietly keep you poor. Chapter 8. Stop competing with other people. Imagine two runners. One is running a marathon. The other is running a 100-meter race. If the marathon runner constantly looks at the sprinter, he will feel slow. But he's not slow. He's running a different race. Your financial life is the same. Someone may buy a luxury car at 25. Someone else may own a house at 30. Someone may build a successful company at 35. That doesn't mean you are behind. The internet makes comparison worse. You see someone's success. You don't see their failures. You see the vacation. You don't see the debt. You see the business. You don't see the years of work. You see the result. You don't see the process. Wealth builders learn to focus on their own scoreboard. Ask yourself, am I earning more valuable income? Am I saving more? Am I investing consistently? Am I reducing unnecessary debt? Am I building valuable skills? Am I becoming more disciplined? Those are better questions than, why isn't my life like theirs? But there's something even deeper. You can know exactly what to do and still fail to do it. That's why Chapter 9 is about execution. Because knowledge without action creates nothing. Chapter 9. Turn knowledge into action. A person can watch 500 videos about wealth. Read 100 books. Listen to podcasts every morning. Take notes. Highlight pages. Talk about investing. Talk about business. Talk about discipline. And still remain exactly where they started. Why? Because information doesn't create wealth. Applied information does. Imagine someone learning how to swim. They can watch swimming tutorials for 10 years. But eventually, they must enter the water. You must do the same with your financial education. Learn about budgeting. Then create a budget. Learn about investing. Then research appropriate investments for your situation. Learn about business. Then test a small business idea. Learn a skill. Then offer that skill to someone. Learn sales. Then make an offer. Learn communication. Then communicate. Action converts knowledge into experience. Experience creates judgment. Judgment improves decisions. Better decisions create better results. And better results compound. But before you rush out and try everything at once, there is one final principle. The most important wealth builders don't simply start strong. They stay consistent. And that's what Chapter 10 is about. Chapter 10, Play the Long Game. One of the biggest secrets of wealth is surprisingly boring. Consistency. Not excitement. Not motivation. Not overnight success. Consistency. Think about a farmer. A farmer doesn't plant a seed in the morning and dig it up that evening because nothing happened. He understands time. He understands seasons. He understands that growth happens beneath the surface before it becomes visible. Your financial life can be the same. You save. You invest. You learn. You build. You improve. You repeat. At first, the results may look insignificant. Then something changes. Your skills become better. Your income increases. Your savings grow. Your investments compound. Your network expands. Your opportunities increase. Your confidence grows. And eventually, the things you were doing consistently begin producing results that look sudden to everyone else. People may say, "You got lucky." But they didn't see the years. They didn't see the mornings. They didn't see the sacrifices. They didn't see the small decisions. They only saw the harvest. And that's why you must understand this. Wealth is usually built slowly, then recognized suddenly. The final wealth formula. Let's bring everything together. If you want to build wealth faster, remember these principles. Become more valuable. Increase your earning power. Control lifestyle inflation. Create a gap between income and expenses. Use that gap to build productive assets. Develop additional income engines. Use leverage. Control destructive debt. Master your emotions. Stop comparing your journey to others. Turn knowledge into action. And stay consistent long enough for your efforts to compound. But don't make the mistake of thinking that building wealth means becoming obsessed with money. Money is a tool. The ultimate goal is freedom. Freedom to make choices. Freedom to spend more time with people you love. Freedom to pursue meaningful work. Freedom to survive difficult seasons. Freedom to say no. Freedom to build something that matters. So don't wake up tomorrow thinking, "I need to get rich." Wake up thinking, "I need to become more valuable." Then, "I need to keep more of what I earn." Then, "I need to put my resources to work." Then, "I need to repeat this process for years." That is how wealth is built. Not through one magical decision. Through thousands of intelligent decisions repeated over time. Final story. Before we end, imagine yourself 10 years from now. There are two versions of you. One version looks back and says, "I wish I had started." The other says, "I'm grateful I started when I did." Both versions began with the same thing. A decision. Not $1 million. Not perfect circumstances. Not perfect knowledge. Just a decision. The decision to learn. The decision to stop wasting. The decision to become valuable. The decision to build assets. The decision to control emotions. The decision to think long term. The decision to start. And maybe your first step won't look impressive. Maybe you won't have much money. Maybe you won't know exactly what you're doing. That's okay. You don't need to see the entire staircase. You only need to take the next step. Because the future version of you is being created by what you repeatedly do today. So start small. Start intelligently. Start patiently. But most importantly, start. OUTRO. If this video gave you a new way to think about wealth, don't just watch it and move on. Write down one thing you're going to change, one skill you're going to learn, one expense you're going to control, one asset you're going to begin building, one financial habit you're going to repeat. Then give yourself time. Because your goal isn't to become rich overnight. Your goal is to become the kind of person who becomes financially stronger every year. Remember, master your mind. Transform your life. And if you're serious about building wealth, don't leave yet. The next video will take you even deeper into the psychology behind financial success, and it may completely change the way you think about money. Thank you for watching Psychology of Success. If this video brought you value, subscribe, like, and share it with someone who is committed to growth. Remember, success is not something you find, it's something you build, one decision at a time. Because the future belongs to those who take action today. Master your mind. Transform your life. I'll see you in the next lesson. The one thing that separates winners from losers. Introduction: the difference nobody sees. There are two people standing at the starting line. They have similar dreams, similar opportunities, similar fears, similar doubts, and sometimes they even have similar talent. But years later, one of them is living a completely different life. One has built something meaningful. One has developed discipline. One has become financially stronger. One has become confident. One has accomplished goals that once seemed impossible. And the other is still talking about what they are going to do someday. So what happened? Did the winner have a better life? Did they have more money? Did they have better connections? Did they have more motivation? Sometimes, yes. But not always. Because there is one thing that repeatedly separates people who win from people who remain stuck. And it is not intelligence. It is not luck. It is not talent. It is not motivation. It is the ability to keep moving when the results are not coming yet. That is the difference. Winners understand something that losers often forget. The absence of immediate results does not mean the absence of progress. Think about a seed. You plant it in the ground. You water it. You protect it. You wait. For days, nothing appears. You might look at the soil and think, nothing is happening. But underneath the surface, something is happening. Roots are forming. Growth is taking place where you cannot see it. And eventually, what was invisible becomes visible. Your life works the same way. You can work on yourself for weeks and see nothing. You can save money and feel like you are still poor. You can study and still feel unprepared. You can exercise and still dislike what you see in the mirror. You can build a business and hear rejection after rejection. You can create content and get almost no views. You can apply for opportunities and receive rejection. And this is where most people quit. Not because they cannot succeed, but because they expected success to arrive before they were required to become the person capable of achieving it. Today, we're going to talk about the one quality that separates the people who eventually break through from the people who continuously give up. And by the end of this video, I want you to see your struggles differently. Because what if the obstacle in front of you isn't proof that you should stop? What if it is the test that determines whether you deserve to move forward? Stay with me. Because the next chapter may completely change the way you think about failure, discipline, and success. Chapter 1: Winners Keep Going. Imagine two runners entering a marathon. They both train. They both start strong. But halfway through the race, one runner becomes exhausted. His legs hurt. His breathing becomes difficult. He looks ahead and realizes there are still miles left. He thinks, maybe I can't do this. So he stops. The second runner is equally exhausted. His legs hurt too. He also wants to stop. But instead of asking, how much longer? He asks, can I take one more step? That question changes everything. He doesn't need to finish the entire marathon right now. He only needs to take the next step. Then another. Then another. And eventually, those small steps carry him across the finish line. That is how winners think. They don't always have more strength. They simply refuse to make a permanent decision based on a temporary feeling. You may feel tired today. Keep going. You may feel discouraged today. Keep going. You may have failed. Learn and keep going. You may not see results yet. Keep going. Because sometimes the difference between success and failure is not another year of effort. Sometimes it's another week, another attempt, another phone call, another application, another video, another conversation, another morning where you choose discipline instead of comfort. You don't know how close you are. And that's why quitting is so dangerous. You can quit one day before the breakthrough. You can stop one conversation before the opportunity. You can abandon the business 1 month before it becomes profitable. You can stop studying just before everything finally starts making sense. You can give up on yourself right before your identity begins to change. The problem is that success rarely announces itself. It doesn't knock on your door and say, "Congratulations. You have 5 days remaining." You usually have no idea how close you are. So your job is not to predict exactly when success will arrive. Your job is to continue becoming the person who is prepared when it does. And that's why the winner keeps going. Not because they know they will succeed tomorrow, but because they refuse to let today's disappointment decide tomorrow's destiny. Chapter 2: Losers quit when it gets hard. Let's be honest. Almost everybody loves success. People love the idea of being wealthy. People love the idea of being fit. People love the idea of becoming successful. People love the idea of having freedom. But very few people love the process required to get there. The process is uncomfortable. The process is repetitive. The process is often boring. And sometimes, the process feels completely pointless. That's when the difference appears. A person starts exercising. Day 1 feels exciting. Day 2 feels manageable. Day 7 becomes difficult. Day 30 becomes uncomfortable. And eventually, the excitement disappears. What happens next? The person who depends on motivation quits. The person who has developed discipline continues. This is one of the biggest differences between winners and losers. Losers ask, "Do I feel like doing it?" Winners ask, "Does it need to be done?" That's a completely different mindset. You don't need to feel motivated to study. You don't need to feel inspired to save money. You don't need to feel confident to start. You don't need to feel ready to take action. You need to understand that feelings change. Your commitment must be stronger than your mood. There will be mornings when you don't want to get out of bed. There will be days when your goals feel distant. There will be moments when you wonder whether everything you're doing is worth it. Those moments aren't necessarily signs that you're on the wrong path. Sometimes they're simply the price of walking a difficult path. Remember this. If you only continue when things feel good, you will never discover how far you could have gone. Chapter 3: Winners take responsibility. There is another difference. Winners take responsibility. Losers search for excuses. Now, this does not mean everything that happens to you is your fault. Life is unfair sometimes. People can disappoint you. Opportunities can disappear. Circumstances can make things harder. You cannot control everything, but you can control your response. And that is where your power begins. Imagine 2 people who both lose their jobs. The first person says, "This country is the problem. My boss ruined my life. Nobody wants to help me. There is nothing I can do." The second person feels the same fear, but eventually says, "I didn't choose this situation, but I will choose what I do next." That sentence changes everything. The first person waits for circumstances to change. The second person changes themselves. And when you take responsibility, you stop waiting for permission. You stop waiting for someone to rescue you. You stop waiting for perfect conditions. You begin asking, "What can I do with what I have?" Maybe you don't have money. What can you learn? Maybe you don't have connections. Who can you meet? Maybe you don't have experience. Where can you start? Maybe you failed. What can the failure teach you? Maybe you're behind. What can you do today? This is where personal power begins. Not when everything becomes perfect, but when you stop giving your circumstances complete control over your future. Chapter 4. Winners understand delayed gratification. One of the most dangerous traps in modern life is the desire for immediate rewards. We want fast money, fast success, fast relationships, fast growth, fast results. But meaningful achievement usually requires patience. A farmer doesn't plant a seed in the morning and dig it up that evening because he doesn't see a tree. He understands the process. He understands seasons. He understands patience. Yet many people treat their goals differently. They start a business for 2 weeks and expect wealth. They exercise for 10 days and expect transformation. They read one book and expect wisdom. They save for 1 month and expect financial freedom. They upload several videos and expect millions of views. Then they say, "It doesn't work." But maybe it wasn't that the process didn't work. Maybe they simply stopped before the process had time to work. Delayed gratification means choosing something valuable later instead of something pleasurable now. It means saying, "I could spend this money, but I will save it. I could watch another hour of entertainment, but I will study. I could sleep longer, but I will wake up and work. I could quit because I'm frustrated, but I will continue." Every time you choose your future over your immediate comfort, you strengthen yourself. And eventually, discipline becomes easier. Chapter 5. Failure doesn't scare winners. Failure is one of the greatest filters in life. It removes people who only wanted the reward. And it reveals people who are committed to the journey. Consider a young entrepreneur. He launches his first business. It fails. He loses money. People laugh. Friends tell him, "I told you it wouldn't work." He feels embarrassed. But instead of seeing failure as an identity, he sees it as information. He asks, "What did I misunderstand? What did customers actually want? Where did I make the wrong decision? What should I do differently next time?" He starts again. The second attempt fails too. But this time, he understands more. He starts again. Eventually, something works. People later call him successful. They see the company. They see the money. They see the results. But they don't see the failures underneath them. They don't see the nights when he doubted himself. They don't see the rejection. They don't see the mistakes. They only see the final chapter. That's why you must be careful comparing your beginning to somebody else's finished story. You may be looking at someone's harvest while you are still planting your seeds. Failure isn't always telling you, "Stop." Sometimes failure is asking, "Are you willing to learn?" Chapter 6. Winners do what losers keep postponing. There is a word that quietly destroys dreams. Tomorrow. Tomorrow I'll start. Tomorrow I'll exercise. Tomorrow I'll study. Tomorrow I'll save money. Tomorrow I'll build the business. Tomorrow I'll become disciplined. Tomorrow I'll change. But tomorrow keeps moving. And eventually years pass. One of the greatest advantages you can develop is the ability to act before you feel completely ready. You don't need the perfect plan. You need the next action. If you want to write a book, write 1 page. If you want to get fit, do today's workout. If you want to become wealthy, learn something valuable and start managing your money. If you want to build a YouTube channel, publish the video. If you want to improve your life, change one behavior. Small actions compound. Your future is being built by what you repeatedly do today. So stop asking, "When will I feel ready?" Ask, "What can I do right now?" Because action creates clarity. You don't always think your way into confidence. Sometimes you act your way into confidence. Chapter 7. Winners control their response. You will experience things you don't deserve. You will encounter people who disappoint you. You will face rejection. You will experience delays. You will make mistakes. You will have bad days. You cannot control everything that happens. But you can control what happens next. Imagine someone insulting you. You have 2 choices. You can immediately react. Or you can pause. That pause is power. You can choose your words. You can choose whether to walk away. You can choose whether to learn from the situation. Your emotions are real, but they don't have to become your master. A successful person isn't someone who never feels anger, fear, sadness, or frustration. A successful person learns how to experience those emotions without allowing them to destroy their decisions. You can feel afraid and still act. You can feel tired and still be disciplined. You can feel disappointed and still continue. You can feel uncertain and still take the next step. That is emotional strength. Chapter 8. Winners focus on the long game. Imagine looking at a skyscraper while it is being constructed. One day you see workers digging. Another day you see steel. Another day you see concrete. At different stages, it may look incomplete. But nobody looks at a building under construction and says, "This building is a failure because it isn't finished today." Yet we do this to ourselves. You are under construction. Your financial life is under construction. Your mindset is under construction. Your career is under construction. Your confidence is under construction. Your discipline is under construction. Stop judging your entire life based on one unfinished chapter. Think long term. Where do you want to be 5 years from now? Who do you want to become? What skills will you possess? What habits will you have? What kind of person will you be? Then work backward. The goal isn't to transform your entire life overnight. The goal is to make today's version of you slightly stronger than yesterday's. One day at a time. One decision at a time. One habit at a time. One disciplined action at a time. Chapter 9. The real battle is with yourself. The greatest competition you will ever face is not another person. It is the version of yourself that wants comfort more than growth. The version of yourself that says, "Just 5 more minutes. I'll do it tomorrow. Nobody will notice. It's too hard. Maybe I'm not good enough." That voice will appear. And you must learn not to obey every thought you have. You don't have to believe every negative thought. You don't have to act on every emotion. You don't have to remain the person you were yesterday. Every day gives you another opportunity to vote for the person you want to become. When you wake up early, you vote for discipline. When you study instead of scrolling endlessly, you vote for your future. When you save instead of wasting money, you vote for financial freedom. When you keep going after failure, you vote for resilience. When you tell the truth even when it's difficult, you vote for character. Your identity is built through repeated choices. And eventually, those choices become your life. Chapter 10. Keep going until your story changes. Now we arrive at the most important lesson. You may not be where you want to be, but that doesn't mean you are destined to remain there. Your current situation is not necessarily your final destination. Maybe you have wasted time. Start again. Maybe you've made financial mistakes. Learn. Maybe you've failed. Try again. Maybe you've disappointed yourself. Forgive yourself and move forward. Maybe you've quit before. This time, don't. Your story can change. But it changes through action. Not wishing. Not complaining. Not waiting. Action. There is a version of you that you haven't met yet. A stronger version. A more disciplined version. A wiser version. A more confident version. A version that doesn't collapse every time life becomes difficult. But you will never meet that version if you keep choosing comfort over growth. So today, make a decision. Not a temporary emotional decision. A real decision. Decide that you will keep going. Decide that failure will teach you. Decide that rejection will redirect you. Decide that slow progress is still progress. Decide that your circumstances will not determine your identity. Decide that you will become responsible for your future. And most importantly, decide that you will not quit simply because success is taking longer than you expected. Because one day, you may look back at the period of your life that felt the hardest and realize that was the chapter where everything changed. Final message, the one thing. So what separates winners from losers? It isn't always intelligence. It isn't always money. It isn't always talent. It isn't always opportunity. The difference is often much simpler. Winners continue. They continue learning. They continue improving. They continue adapting. They continue taking responsibility. They continue after rejection. They continue after failure. They continue when nobody is watching. They continue when the results are invisible. And eventually, something happens. The person who kept going becomes the person everyone else calls successful. But they don't see what happened before the success. They don't see the discipline. They don't see the sacrifices. They don't see the failures. They don't see the thousands of small decisions. They only see the result. So if you're currently in a season where nothing seems to be working, remember this. You may be closer than you think. Don't quit because you can't see the roots. The seed may already be growing. Don't quit because your progress feels slow. A mountain is climbed one step at a time. Don't quit because you failed. Failure can become the classroom where your future success is built. Don't quit because nobody believes in you. Learn to believe in the work you are doing. And don't wait for motivation. Build discipline. Because motivation asks, "Do I feel like doing this?" Discipline says, "This is who I am now." So take the next step. Then another. Then another. Keep learning. Keep building. Keep improving. Keep moving. And one day, you will look back and realize that the greatest thing you ever did was not becoming perfect. It was simply refusing to stop. You kept going. And that changed everything. This is your life. This is your opportunity. And the next chapter is still unwritten. Master your mind. Transform your life.